what if Alt Hist had brought up a point that when the average age of marriage gets above 28, there's something like a 98% chance of a civil war or some sort of revolt? Because these guys, once they realize, oh, I can't start a family within the structure of society, will tear it down then. Because it infringes upon their reproductive prerogative. When you screw up the survival or reproductive prerogative, you're gonna have a backlash. So this is really serious stuff. But instead of looking into this situation deeply, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of desperate incels. Try harder, bro. It's very silly, and it's either ignorant or intellectually cowardly. And all because people don't want to point out the elephant in the room that we've failed young men, and that the dating market sucks, and that men don't want to be traditional anymore because women don't want to be traditional anymore. And so, why should men do it if women aren't doing it? And you'll see this even among a lot of the so-called like trad wives and stuff. They're not traditional, but now suddenly at 30 years old, they're expecting men to be. It doesn't work that way. And now that feminism has overplayed its hand and guys realize, oh, women don't actually care about us, you've destroyed the illusion that held up this whole thing. I think it was always an illusion. I think that there was an evolutionary survival strategy of women to get the protection and provision of men. And one of the ways that they did that was through like love, right? And capturing his heart and this and that and getting him to sacrifice on behalf of her and the offspring. This is a strategy that goes way back. That's my theory. But they've thrown that away, and now guys realize, oh, they actually don't care. So neither will I. And you've screwed up the whole thing. And so once you have humanoid robots that are absolutely perfect, guys are gonna flock to this, and women are not gonna be able to compete with that. And the trouble is they've always had the opportunity to kind of come to the table and be like, hey, okay, let's start working together, let's be compassionate, and even maybe return to tradition. Because the funny thing about tradition is that it benefited women and children, mostly at the expense of men, because it's predicated upon the sacrifice of men. Because men are working and protecting. And it's not to say that women don't contribute to that equation. That's not what I'm saying. But it definitely benefits them more than the men. Because what are the guys really doing? We're sacrificing our lives and we're working our asses off to provide for a family, to protect, right? It's all about sacrifice. That's the mantra. And we love that. We love sacrificing for what we care about because it gives us meaning. But that window, the aforementioned window, is rapidly closing because what I think will happen, unfortunately, is that synthetic companions will be a thing within the next maybe 5 to 10 years. And women are slowly starting to realize, wait, actually, tradition was good for us and equality kind of sucks because, oh, now we have to, now it's 50-50. No, we have to match everything, and men don't want to be traditional anymore, and that's actually not very good for women. Now they're slowly starting to realize this, but they're not leading with compassion. They're using shame tactics to try to get guys to fall back in line. Guys aren't getting the benefit from society to make it worthwhile, and feminism overplayed its hand and let guys know, oh, well, we're expendable and you don't really need us. Okay, well, that's a thing, I guess. And so when these synthetic companions are around and guys are starting to flock to it, by the time that women start to realize, oh crap, I really have to compete with this. I have to maybe be traditional again. I have to raise the bar, so to speak, of my own conduct. It'll be too late because guys will have that option, the other option, and then they will look back on like the last 100 years of feminism and be like, well, you only want to return to tradition because it benefits you, and it benefits society, and society doesn't actually care about me. So really, you're just kind of like an agent of the state, and you're trying to manipulate me. And I think the ironic part about this is you're already starting to see men run away from traditional gender roles. You're having this reverse reaction where men are doing the same exact thing that women were doing. It's only in reverse now. And when they have the option not to, they're not going to go back to it. And it's just the same way that feminism, I guess you could say, emancipated, as they call it, from their traditional roles. I mean, men are about to be. I think the synthetic companions will be the option for emancipation, and they're going to choose it. Because it was a lot easier, technologically speaking, to allow women not to play their role, their traditional role, because you have the welfare state to take care of them, you have police, and you have military to protect them. Society was safer for a while there. It's not gonna be. It's not as much now. You had like the pill, you had a bunch of toys that they had access to. It's far easier to find a sperm donor than it is to find a surrogate if you're a guy. And it's much harder to give guys those sort of replacements, the equivalents, to give men the sort of things that they want. Because contrary to popular belief, guys are not these hypersexual creatures that's all they care about. Honestly, most guys want to they want to feel cared about, they want to feel appreciated, they want to give and sacrifice and provide something. They want that. I think guys are a lot more romantic than they're given credit for. They're a lot more wholesome. That's what they genuinely want. And actually, I was conducting a study on this. I Because I was challenging the notion that guys just want to get their rocks off and control something and be abusive or whatever. Because this was during peak feminism, and so I wanted to look at the evidence. And one of the things that I had looked into um, was how do guys treat their sex dolls, right? Because that'll actually give you a great indication of what guys actually want because they have all the power and control in that situation. There's no hindrances, so it's a perfect examination of what the actual inclinations of these guys are. And so I had joined a couple Discord servers and I was asking questions and I was talking to guys and stuff. And I remember there was this construction worker, tough guy, and he was actually really really good looking, and he was he was like putting makeup on his doll and stuff and buying her outfits, and he's like, oh yeah, she's so cute, and uh it was strangely wholesome. And that's one of the things that I noticed is most of the guys in that sort of community, that's one of the things that they would unexpectedly really enjoy was that process of taking care of the doll and stuff.